We've got a really hot show for you. This is August, and this show will sizzle your bacon. Shad Olson, Ed Rendazzo, Lynn Hicks DeSanto, and you'll hear from Judge Morgan about the Game Fish and Parks case. There's a lot of speculation about the Ryan and Romney ticket, and Shad Olson is here to talk with us today about it. Shad, it's always a pleasure to have you, but before we go any farther, will you please tell our listeners where they can hear you every day?
They can log on to www.shadolsonshow.com, and they can find each day's broadcast in the Today's Show section of that website at www.shadolsonshow.com.
All right. It's a powerful program. You don't want to miss it. It'll give you insights that, well, frankly, you just don't get from Randazzo and Howie. So it's a good...
That may be overly modest on your part, Gordon, but
I don't know about
I
that.
appreciate it.
But I wonder what your thoughts are about Romney's VP pick and how that impacts the ticket.
Gordon, my heart is heavy today because if you've been watching the organized liberal mainstream media, you know that Paul Ryan literally wants to take every senior citizen in America out into a field and shoot them in the head. And I just don't know how it is that Mitt Romney could have picked somebody who would want to do that to our grandparents.
Is he going to do that before Mitt Romney pushes them over the cliff?
Well, yeah, quite possibly, and then before Mitt Romney passes gun control, so he wouldn't be able to do that.
Well, you know, Romney's already killed several people.
It's atrocious that the Republicans could even put together a ticket like this. We've got Mitt Romney, who's clearly responsible for the death of someone who died 6 years after they lost their job as a result of Bain Capital interference. And then we have this situation with Paul Ryan, who is being characterized, pilloried, and burnt in effigy by the mainstream media for his lack of compassion about Medicare. Gordon, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Is it more compassionate to take a program and to be willing to look it dead in the face and make the changes that are necessary to make sure that it actually exists in perpetuity or add some longevity to that program? Or is it best to just maybe pretend that it's okay until the whole thing blows up and nobody gets any benefit of any kind? Which of those would you characterize as compassionate?
Well, you and I would agree that it's more compassionate to do the responsible thing.
Yes.
But unlike some state governors and some former presidents, there will be a day of reckoning. You can't just leave office and let the next guy fix it. And I'm curious to know, you've spent a lot of your life in the media. Do you believe that Americans are so, the word that comes to my mind is stupid, as to believe the media mantra about Ryan starving little children, killing old women, and Romney killing people with cancer?
Anecdotally, Gordon, I'll share just one instance. Something came out in USA Today, the USA Today newspaper recently. It was a survey which asked that all-important presidential question: do you believe that you and your family are better off today than you were 4 years ago? Well, the majority of people answered as we would expect after 4 years of Barack Obama's economic idiocy. They said, no, we're not better off today. We're doing far worse than we were 4 years ago.
But
you know what's coming. 44% of people believed that if Barack Obama is reelected, that somehow the economy is going to be, they believe the economy is going to get better.
God help us.
Now, what did Einstein say about insanity? He said that insanity is doing the exact same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. So based on that, I shared with my listeners on my program this week that based on that result, we have to categorically say that 44% of Americans are clinically insane.
You heard it here, and I believe we'll know soon if that's true or not. Tell us what you think. Can Romney-Ryan win in the face of this media blast?
Absolutely they can. I think there are signs that their campaign is growing momentum, and I think it's going to play out on a couple of fronts. Ryan's Catholicism is going to be an interesting play with a very disgruntled Catholic base who's been kicked around by Obamacare and the birth control mandate. There's been that whole issue. So Ryan's faith plays into this, but then also we have a team on the Republican side that's willing to have an adult conversation about the economy that the Obama team clearly just has not been able to do.
It's an interesting choice. We get to choose between a Mormon and a Catholic versus a Muslim and an atheist.
Well, or at the very best, Joe Biden, a fallen Catholic. We could call him a
I think
fallen
you'd
Catholic
be
too.
generous to call him fallen. I'm not sure he ever climbed that mountain.
Well, quickly, the saying is you cannot be Catholic and vote Democrat.
Yeah, frankly, I wonder today, given the ticket, can you be Christian and vote Democrat? That's a question that our voters are going to have to answer across the country. Thanks for tuning in today, and check out the Shad Olson Show every day